everyone. Gonna go ahead and do another video. I'm gonna do these videos as I feel that they come to me about being a targeted individual. And what I mean by a targeted individual is I mean the full spectrum of being a targeted individual, which means getting stalked and covertly harassed in any way. Even also job mobbing as well. But right now, obviously, gang stalking, and I'll go into clarification about actual other aspects of the targeted individual experience with technology, usage of technology, etc., etc. And of course, obviously, at the very basic minimum, online technology and apps are being used, and of course other things as well. But we can talk about that at a later date. Right now, I just want to talk about, and I'm going to have to probably separate these in playlists over time. I want to focus on the healing aspect and some of the tools we can use when it comes to being a targeted individual. And one of the best tools, I feel, against this is detachment and focusing on oneself. Now, easier said than done. And they had me at a moment where, and I'm sure we all get there, where we were really in a bad place. The tarot card, and I associate this with, for those of you who use tarot and the connection, symbolic symbolism in that is really much the Eight of Swords in a mental prison, paranoia, that sort of thing. And I'll talk about that later. It looks like my cat's gonna come in here. Okay, don't knock down the camera. So detachment. Okay, this is a great way to just it helps. It helps so much. One way you can really kind of tap into this, because I know it's easier for some people to detach than others. One way to really because it's a part of focus. It's a part of changing your focus, detachment in a way. Meditation really worked well for me. Anything that's close to meditation, focusing your mind on something else, quieting the mind in a way, finding a focus. For me, one of my tools that really helped is this rainbow fluorite. I know not everyone is into crystals, but I felt this really helped me. I've always been pretty good at detachment. And again, I'm all in my head. If you follow astrology, I'm an Aquarius, so there is that as well. So being all up in my head, but also being able to detach at times, where some people find that really hard to do. So anyway, detachment is key. Altering your focus on something else. If your life isn't going well, it is hard, it is challenging. When we had the fire, I mean, pretty much our house was gone. Only had a few things at some point. And I mean, yeah, we were staying in a room and stuff, and it had some things, and we were able to go back and get other things. But at the same time, there was a lot of loss, a lot of stress, a lot of trauma. And also, there had already been a lot of trauma going on in my life anyways. So at that point, yes, there was, when it happened, after it happened, I did hit a point. I don't know if people think it's kind of like a rock bottom point, or just a point where I was able to just really, really let go. And let the universe, even the triggers afterwards that usually would trigger me, didn't work as much. It didn't like, I separated myself and analyzed it from a different point of view. And sometimes, and I want to get into this in another video, about seeing things that aren't there. And what I meant by that was being paranoid, thinking someone's perping you when they're not. And that does happen. That does get in people's heads. And it was designed to do that. It was a mind hack. It's designed to make you think that very common things like, oh, can I trust them? They're wearing this, or they're doing that, or they're doing this while doing that. Can I, and some people, yeah, they program you to do that. And what they use I would suggest getting this book. It's a little tattered because I take it with me in my bag at work, is NLP The Essential Guide. Anything on NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, this book is really, really good. So this one is by Tom Hoobyar and Tom Dotz with Susan Sanders. NLP The Essential Guide. Amazon. You can find it there. So very good. And it shows you exactly, like, you can see their method in this of how they're really able to get into your head using what we already have, using how the brain already works. And you can teach yourself new triggers. You can teach yourself all sorts of things to combat this. I would get it if you're able to, or even look up some NLP, neuro-linguistic programming stuff on YouTube. That will help as well. But really awesome, really great tools in here. Really good for healing. Again, teaches you new triggers that you can are anchors, not triggers. I'm sorry, anchors, which they also use. And I guess you could also teach yourself new triggers as well and how to respond to them. That's another thing, watching our triggers, how we respond to them. That's why detachment is really key. Because as we all know, part of it is like reaction. I know once I learned what was going on, because I was confused for a while, and I was like, oh my gosh, some of these people are criminals, they're dangerous. If they think I'm crazy, they'll leave me alone. So I'd act a little crazy. But then that's what they want. That's one of their things that they want. So once I kind of knew what they wanted, oh, okay, well, I just won't give them what they want. And sometimes you break down a little bit, but just go back to focusing on yourself. Now, be aware. Be aware of your surrounding. Be aware of what's going on. Make sure you're able to protect yourself if need be, but let go at the same time. Like, they're more than likely not going to do anything. Now, granted, it's kind of scary because some of these people are like the dregs of society. Like, some of the people that have been like, really? This person? Like, oh my God, seriously? But that's who they get to do this stuff. Because that's the kind of people who want to. And not everyone. I mean, I've had middle-aged women do this shit to me. It's disgusting. And like, and you usually know. Like, I try to get to the point where, like, it has to be really obvious that they're doing it for it to really get to me in some way. And like, and then I try to blow it off. And sometimes I'll calmly call it out a little bit under my breath or something. Or, you know, sometimes it's okay. Like, you know, you'll know when to and how to respond when it comes to you. But don't let it really eat you up. And don't let it get into your head. Try to zone people out. And I know this is can be like hard for some people, or not always the best thing to live your life where you just zone everybody out. But if you're really in a space where it's really getting to you and you're really starting to get paranoid, you can't really turn around. You know, that really, really deep state paranoia. Like, where you're just like, oh my God, everything. Take yourself out of the situation if you can. And just like, and eventually, you know, zone these people out. Don't look at them. Know your triggers. Don't acknowledge them. Don't look at them, especially if they're visual. Audio's a little different. It's rough. It can be really rough. But remember, most of the time, unless it's like really high level, I mean, they're probably not gonna kill you. They want you to think that. And also, if you're really scared, tell as many people as you can. Write detailed stuff. Use names. If you can get license plates numbers, car descriptions, pictures, images, if you can. Because you know they've been taking images of you. I've had videos of me taken in front of me. I've had pictures taken in front of me. Fuck these people. Like, seriously, yes, I cuss on my videos. I'm like, I'm not playing anymore. If something happens to me, then people are going to know. Also, if you do have any connections with someone in your life, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you can't talk about it as much because sometimes it upsets people. Sometimes it's hard to really wrap their mind around it because it's not happening to them. And remember, a lot of this is designed to separate you if you have someone, to get you alone. And you don't want that to happen. So, and try not to become paranoid of the people you're with, because they try to do that as well to tear you apart. So that is a thing that happens. And I'm not saying that sometimes people aren't involved. I'm just saying a lot of the time, sometimes because they get into your head, you need to be able to discern things, or at least try to give it a chance, or think rationally about it, or distance yourself and take yourself out of the situation. That's another thing this teaches you to do, is really kind of separate yourself from like traumatic experiences. Take yourself, look at it differently. Look at it from a more of an observant, like an observer, detached perspective than someone who's actually in the moment. That's why, yes, definitely get this book if you can, The Essential Guide NLP. Yes, meditation, like I said, again, was really, really helpful, is really, really helpful. Inner reflection, looking at the way that we respond to things. And I'll go into this for another video, but I've also noticed that a lot of the people who are targeted that I've met or talked to or seen on the internet have had some childhood trauma. There is a sort of, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying there is an overarching thing that tends to be people who have had some trauma, like really bad childhood trauma, abuse. I've seen this over and over again and can relate. So there is that. So again, when you're talking about spirituality and things that stay with you, certain life lessons or life, what do they call that? I'm losing my train of thought. I'll talk about it in another video. But a theme. It seems to be a theme. Hopefully breaking a cycle. But maybe it's also something about the certain people who are chosen. I've seen a lot of creative people who are chosen in this way. Spiritual people, you know, depending on what your spirituality is, it really does, like, it differs for everyone, but I have noticed, like, these themes, like, there are certain people, obviously, and you can see videos of certain people who they feel, oh, I'm sorry, it's a cat, they seem to want to go after. But yeah, so this is just a little bit of a taste of what I want to talk about in my healing videos when it comes to being a targeted individual. But I think the number one important thing to do is to know, one, look on YouTube to see other people's experiences. See if there's any activism groups in your area. And don't let it get in. Try not to let it get in. Even if you know they're doing it, just be observant, be ready. Always be ready to defend yourself, but don't be hyper ready to, because that's another thing. They want to push you to the edge. Don't let them do that. But also just knowing what they do, knowing their tools, knowing the stuff that they do makes it easier for you to respond. There's a lot of beautiful videos about gang stalking and how people deal with it. The more people you talk to, the more forums, the more, just the easier it is to bring it to attention. And you want to have this documented. Even if you don't have a lot of people on a YouTube video, I would say make some YouTube videos. I don't got a lot of subscribers. I used to have a channel with a little bit more, but again, that channel's gone. And a lot of those videos I put on private because of what was going on. But you need to get your story out there. You need to have a trail. So if anything happens to you, because I'm going to post more about my story, I'm going to share more about my story. If I have to and things keep happening, I'll post pictures of people. Because, if something happens to me, there needs to be a trail of people who were involved. And that's what you need to do, especially if you feel endangered. Especially if you feel endangered. But anyway, so these are just a few little things of the tools that I've, again, I'll get into more, but I really think trying to detach, meditate, prayer, whatever, focus, putting your focus away, maybe focusing on a lot of inner work, a lot of things that you could do differently, try to get in touch with yourself, your inner self. And again, psychology, NLP, this sort of thing. This how the mind works sort of psychology stuff. Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Again, remember they're trying to mimic this because when it does come to technology, and I'm going to get into that, all the stuff that they're wanting to do and can do and possibly are doing with technology, it's out there. But I'm going to share that on this channel too, because it's all connected. But anyways, yeah, get yourself some books on NLP, watch some NLP stuff, learn how to detach. If you can, watch some videos on detachment. Just relax. Take some time to relax. And what's another word for detachment? I'm just trying to use some more. Let things go. Just try to let things go a little more. You can't control other people. You can control yourself. And always remember, you can also protect yourself if it comes to that. But try to let go of what is just mildly annoying or kind of scary. I mean, you will get passive threats. That's a constant sometimes, not always. Sometimes it's different for everyone. You just got to be able to handle it. You got to be able to see for what it was. At first I was really scared, but then I started seeing that nothing was really happening, that these were threats. And I'm like, if they really did do something, they'd be in so much trouble. They're more than likely not going to do it, especially in a work setting. And I was right. I mean, and some people are crazy, so there is that fine line. But discernment is key. Again, I'm going to do some more videos on this so I don't ramble. And so until next time, protect yourself. Stay focused on yourself. Be at peace with yourself as much as possible. And just stay positive. Oops. Sorry about that.